What's going on, everybody? Hey, we're going to talk a little bit of Cowboys-Saints matchup. We're going to talk about the keys to victory. We're also going to talk about some injury reports right here next on Cowboy Spit.
Here we go! Yeah, here we go! Wait, take!
Cowboy Spit.
Throws back of the end zone. There's C.D. Lamb.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, Cowboy C3. We got week 2, Saints versus Cowboys. 1 o'clock tomorrow here at the great home of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry's World AT&T Stadium. Got a big showdown in Jerry's Land tomorrow, man, against these Saints. Saints are coming fresh off a 47-10 whooping of the Carolina Panthers. Man, Carolina got so many problems going on in there, man. It's not even crazy. I mean, it's not even funny. Derek Carr, 19 of 23 for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara led rushes, 15 rushes, 83 yards and a touchdown. Rashid Shaheed was the leading receiver with 3 catches, 73 yards and a touchdown. Kamara also had a receiving touchdown. Cowboys 33-17 over Cleveland Browns. Dak 19 of 32, 179 and a touchdown. Zeke had 10 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown, and C.D. Lamb had 5 catches for 61 yards. Didn't have a receiving touchdown. Brandon Cooks had a receiving touchdown. Both teams looked very good in the opening week. Very good. Cowboys played a playoff team in the Cleveland Browns last year. They got some quarterback issues going on. They're going to have to get that worked out. He's got some other things going on that's come out in the news this week too. So, Cleveland, they're going to have some issues to work with. Saints coming off a game against Carolina. Carolina's got their own issues to deal with. But, hey, 47 points against any NFL team is fantastic, right? I don't care who it is. 47 points is 47 points. They look good. Injury reports for the Saints. Marshawn Lattimore has a hip and a hammy issue going on. He's doubtful. Hasn't practiced all week. That's a bad sign, man. He's an excellent, Pro Bowl, been all pro a few times, I believe. Just having him out is going to bode some issues for them. In a Kool-Aid McKinstry, he'll probably get the start if Lattimore can't go. We'll talk about that in a minute. Talisi Fahuga, starting left tackle is questionable with a back injury. Rookie left tackle. Kind of thought the Cowboys were thinking about picking him up, but I'm perfectly fine with the draft picks that the Cowboys had. And also Khalil Stevens and DeMarco Jackson are both be out for the Saints. Defensive ends, my bad, y'all. I got this phone on loud. Turn that off. They'll be out as well. So the Saints are dealing with a couple issues. That Marshawn Lattimore injury, if that is an issue, especially with a hamstring and a hip injury, he's the guy that covers your number one receiver. So that means you're going to put a rookie on C.D. Lamb, and that's going to be something to talk about. We'll talk about that in just a second. Cowboys injury reports. Marshawn Nealon with the calf strain will be a full go. Jake Ferguson with the bone bruise / MCL strain in the knee will be doubtful. He's not going to play. And where the problem lies is John Stevens Jr., the backup tight end, actually listed on the depth chart as the third tight end. He's the other pass-catching threat, though. He's absolutely out with a hamstring injury. He is out. The Saints have a interesting way of playing football. They have 2 Swiss Army knives on offense in Kamara and Taysom Hill. Last year, Chris Olave, 87 catches. He's your leading receiver. Who's your second leading receiver? Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara had 78 catches last year. Derek Carr, pretty good quarterback. There was a lot of questions about Derek Carr coming into the season. He looked phenomenal last week. He threw the ball for 80%. That's great. They have a balanced attack on offense. They love to get the ball to their speedy wide receivers. Rashid Salim has been an excellent return man for him, but they've kind of incorporated him into the offense to get him some speed. Chris Olave, 4'3", 40 man, straight out of wide receiver factory, Ohio State, right? Excellent route running, extremely fast, always a threat. They're dangerous. They run the ball well. They throw the ball well. Derek Carr is the key. What Derek Carr the Cowboys going to see? Defensively, man, so their head coach is also their defensive play caller. Their defensive is led by veterans, old school veterans. Guys been in the league 12, 13 years. Hard-nosed football. That's what they play. They like to play that type of football. They don't produce a lot of pressure with their front four, though. They don't do that. Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson. Carl Granderson played like 90% of the snaps last year on defense. Like, he played a crazy amount. Cam Jordan is a power rusher. Carl Granderson can do both. He can power rush you. He's got great hands, great lateral movement. He can do a whole lot of things. He's also excellent against the run. Cam Jordan is just going to bulldog you. That's what your tackles are going to have to deal with. Specifically Tyler Guyton. He likes to line up at right defensive end. That's going to be against your left tackle. He's going to face another bulldog this week. He did a pretty good job. I think he overall graded at an 84 against Myles Garrett, who was the reigning defending defensive player of the year. He didn't do bad. It was shaky at first, right? Myles Garrett is kind of that freakish athlete. Cam Jordan is not that. Cam Jordan is just going to put his head in your chest, and he is going to drive you into the quarterback. That's what he's going to do. That's how he plays. Granderson is the tricky one, right? Granderson does a lot of different things. Granderson can speed rush. He can power rush. He can come off blocks, get to running backs. He can do a whole lot of things. Demario Davis, 13-year veteran playing linebacker. He's the leader of the defense. He's your play call on the defense. He's the one. He's running around. I think he closed on a running back. I think it was Charbonnet last week. He closed on him. He closed at 35 years old, closed on him at 19 miles per hour. But he can run. He is going to be the enforcer. He's the one that's going to try to keep this Cowboy run game in check. And then in the back, you've got Lattimore. If Lattimore can't go, like I said, it'll be Kool-Aid McKinstry. Tyrann Mathieu at safety. He's your secondary play caller. Excellent veteran defense, excellent secondary, pretty good linebackers, not bad, and they got an excellent defensive end. Excellent defensive ends. They got some book defensive ends that play well. They play very well. Like I said, though, last week, though, couldn't produce a lot of pressure against Carolina. Had to do it with the blitz, but they got home against Bryce Young 4 different times. I think Granderson led the team. I think he had like a sack and a half, right? There's certain things that they do well. Another thing that they do well, excellent on special teams. Shaheed is an excellent kick returner, just like Kevontae Turpin. They kind of mirror image each other. They got good kicker. They got good punter. They got good return man. It's kind of the same thing as the Cowboys do on special teams. They do a lot of things well, right? Your keys to victory this week will be this. On defense, you have to contain the Swiss Army knives. You have to. Kamara and Taysom Hill are going to try to put a whole lot of pressure on your defense. Kamara can do things in different ways. He catches the ball out of the backfield. 78 catches last year. He can also run the ball. He's going to get the ball a lot, and they're gonna try to get him in the end zone a lot. Taysom Hill provides a different type of problem. Taysom Hill can line up at tight end. He can line up at fullback. He lined up at running back last week. He can line up at quarterback, of course. Cowboys in the past have had problems with mobile quarterbacks. I think we got that kind of figured out. We got linebackers that can handle that now. And they're going to get the ball to these speedy wide receivers. They're going to get the ball to Olave and they're going to get the ball to Shaheed, which brings me to my second key to victory. Keep the speed in front of you. Keep it in front of you. Kalen Carson did a really good job last week of keeping Amari Cooper in front of him. That's a little different this week. Cooper has never been known as a speed guy. He really hasn't. 4.5, 4.4 40. Excellent route runner. Knows how to get open, knows how to sit in zones, knows how to do things like that. These Saints receivers are just going to try to blow by you. That's what they're going to try to do. The thing that Olave brings to the table is he has the speed to go by you, but he also has route running. He's not as good as Amari Cooper, but it's almost there, right? He'll sit down and come back on a curl, or he'll sit down and break across the field or come on an out route, man, and leave you standing still where you're running backwards trying like, oh, this dude is about to blow by me, and he'll cut out and he'll be standing on the sideline wide open. Keep the speed in front of you, right? Not so much worried about Diggs. This is going to be an excellent opportunity for another team to test out Diggs too, right? Diggs looked excellent last week against Jerry Jeudy. That's who he lined up across most of the time. He looked excellent against Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is a route guy. He's not a speed guy. These dudes can run. I mean, they can flat out run. And then the dangerous part about about their entire offense is they'll send both of these receivers out and they'll send them down the field and spread your secondary out, and then they'll just dump the ball to Kamara. Keep the speed in front of you. I think we got an answer for Kamara too. We'll talk about that for him in just a minute. Key number 3 for the defense, and I believe this is the biggest key of them all. Make Derek Carr uncomfortable. Anybody that has watched Derek Carr, whether it be in Vegas / Oakland or here in New Orleans, if you watch them play, you know if you make Derek Carr uncomfortable, turnovers will happen. That's just him. That's how he plays. If he's got a clean pocket, if he doesn't have any pressure breathing on him, he can complete passes. He'll complete passes at 80% for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what he'll do against you. If you make him uncomfortable, 25 pressures last week on the quarterback for the Cowboys. Keep that same intensity on defense. This game shouldn't be very difficult. It shouldn't. The one thing that the Saints do to keep that at bay, though, right, is run the football. They'll run it with Alvin Kamara. They'll run it with Taysom Hill. They'll keep you off balance. They'll do play-action passes. They'll run read option look. They'll put Taysom Hill at quarterback and run a read option. That's dangerous because you got Kamara and Hill with the ball, with the potential to have the ball, right? They can make it tricky, right? You have to keep Derek Carr uncomfortable. Keep him uncomfortable. And they can do that. Cowboys can do that with their front four. They can do that with some blitzes. I believe you'll see a lot of these linebackers. You'll see a lot of Overshown just shadowing Kamara, right? That's your answer to that issue. Overshown has shown that he's fast enough to play with, he's not as fast as Alvin Kamara, but he's fast enough to keep up with him. He's fast enough to make him uncomfortable, right? And just have somebody in his face. Secondary is going to be under a lot of pressure. One thing that I've said, and he had an excellent game last week, Donovan Wilson at times can be a liability in coverage, right? He can be a liability in coverage. He's going to have to play a good game. He's going to have to keep things in front of him. He's going to have to take good angles to wide receivers. Hey, and when you get there, be the enforcer that you were last week. Just be that guy. That's all we really need. Hooker, don't let anything over the top. That is a lot easier said than done. Speed kills. That's what it does. It kills. If you make Carr uncomfortable and make him erratic with his passes, then that speed is kind of negated just by an inaccurate quarterback. A quarterback that is a little bit nervous about the pass rushes coming at him. And I think Micah Parsons and company and DeMarcus Lawrence, all the guys up front, Nealon, all of them, I think they'll do that. in the run game, keep that defensive rotation going, that defensive tackle rotation going. That's working. That's making Mozzie Smith look a lot better. Phillips looked good. Oseo Digizua, I never really worry about him. Like, it's just you got to keep that rotation, keep those guys fresh, keep this defensive tackle position, keep that being a stalemate for your defense. Clog up the middle. Let these linebackers run around and do what they do. Kendricks is an excellent linebacker. We haven't had an excellent middle linebacker in a long, long time. I think I said that on the last show. Haven't had him in a long, long time. Cowboys want to fix this linebacker problem, and I like it a lot. All right, offense. Keys to victory. Balanced attack. Let's just face it, we don't have a home run hitter at running back. We really don't. We actually do have a home run hitter at running back. It's just he's the small guy, and I was really disappointed, especially with the way the game went last week, that he didn't get more carries. I listened to the Mike McCarthy interview on 105.3 The Fan. I listened to that, and he said that they were kind of disappointed that they didn't get Deuce more carries as well. So hopefully Deuce gets more carries as well, because it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before Dalvin Cook comes off this practice squad and gets a chance to run the ball in the game. And Dalvin Cook provides you a little bit of more electricity than Zeke does, strictly because he can run the ball between the tackles as well, just like Zeke. And he also catches the ball extremely well out of the backfield, and he provides a problem there. Don't see Zeke going to the practice squad. Rico Dowdell is probably still your most balanced back. I just think Rico should be the starting running back. I do, but Rico will get some carries as well. I just feel like Deuce is going to be the odd man out when Dalvin Cook gets called up. It's not a matter of if he gets called up, is when he's going to get called up from the practice squad. But keep this attack balanced. Run pass attack. Keep a little bit of pressure off of Dak. Play action passes. Worked last week. Let's see if we can keep that going. Take advantage of the blitz. All sacks last week, I said all 4 sacks for the Saints last week came from blitzes, right? Dak is the number 1 quarterback against the blitz. He was the number 1 quarterback against the blitz last year in the NFL, right? Take advantage of the blitz. If they're coming with their front 4 and they're bringing some linebackers with them to try to get to the quarterback, there's holes. It's going to be open. McCarthy's going to have to recognize that. Dak's going to have to recognize that. Find some holes in the defense. Hit some routes, some short to intermediate routes. Brandon Cooks is going to have to be involved. I love the way he was involved last week with 3 catches, caught a touchdown as well, but get him more involved. I'd love to see Jalen Tolbert get more involved. They're going to take a corner, especially if it's Kool-Aid McKinstry. They're going to take a corner. They're going to take a safety, and that is going to be over-under on CeeDee Lamb. That corner's going to play right there with him, but he is going to have safety help over the top. There are going to be things that are going to be wide open, right? Especially your tight end. I hate the fact that Ferguson's going to be out. I hate the fact that John Stevens is going to be out. This is an excellent opportunity for Luke Schoonmaker to show everybody, all Cowboy fans, why he was a second-round draft pick. It was always a question, why draft him in the second round? You had so many other positions that you needed to touch to make better, right? Especially linebacker last year. You didn't do that. You drafted a tight end in the second round, and you drafted Luke Schoonmaker. This is the opportunity. This is the game to show why you were drafted in the second round. He's a decent tight end. He's not as athletic as Stevens. He's not as athletic as Ferguson, but he's decently athletic. He's tall. He's got a good frame. He was bought here because of his blocking ability. It hasn't really panned out in the NFL, but this is an opportunity to show that I can catch some passes. I can block against the run. I can block, in the run game. I can do a lot of things that I just maybe haven't had the opportunity to do yet. You get that opportunity on Sunday, you're definitely going to get it. Hunter Lemke will probably be your other tight end, who's the fullback. And that's fine. He's been working kind of that H-back position anyway. He's been doing that. You saw it some in preseason. They talked about they've been doing it in practice. They started that like at the end of last year, just kind of maneuvering him around just to get him an opportunity to get on the field because he's an excellent football player. He does a lot of things well, right? These are the type of games. These are the type of things that I talk about. Next man up. Like this is your chance. This is your time to shine. And I hope Lemke and especially hope that Schoonmaker can do that because there's going to be some holes. There's going to be some vacancies in that defense because they're going to dial up blitzes to try to get to Dak where you're going to get a chance to eat. And I hope you get a big plate. I hope you do. You are also going to have some opportunities against this defense to stretch that defense out, right? If they're blitzing holes, you're going to get an opportunity. Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert. Probably not so much CeeDee Lamb, but CeeDee Lamb kind of creates his own opportunities. You're going to have some creases in this defense where you can get downfield and Dak can hit you and you can make an intermediate play into a huge play, right? A huge play. Saints defense gives you those types of opportunities. They do, strictly because of how they play it. Dennis Allen, he's the head coach. He's been there for 3 years, right? He was the defensive coordinator before he took over 3 years ago as the head coach. He is an aggressive dude. Aggressive dude. The Saints play an aggressive style of defense. They get gashed playing that type of defense. Kind of reminds you of a Dan Quinn type of defense. High risk, high reward, right? We'll take chances. We'll take risks, right? But it also leaves big plays on the back end. Cowboys will have these types of opportunities this week. Put all of this together, right? This entire game plan, keys to victory, injury reports, all this type of stuff. You put it all together, you come up with a final score. This is my prediction. Cowboys 27, Saints 17. 27-17 Cowboys. Coming home, get your first victory, start out 2-0. Not looking ahead, right? Being confident because next week, you got a rough one next week. A really rough one. But we got plenty of time. We got tomorrow to do. We got tomorrow to take care of. We can talk about that next week. Anyway, 27-17 Cowboys. That's my prediction. Cowboys win by 10. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, AT&T, Jerry's World, Cowboys versus Saints. We will do a post-game right after the game. I will be in attendance. I am going to the game. As soon as I get home, I will get online. We will do a post-game. Make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you guys, I had so much fun last week just in the comments, just answering questions, right? Everybody just talking about these Cowboys. It was an excellent, excellent win. We started off real high. Let's keep that high going because it starts to get tougher and tougher and tougher as this schedule goes. This is the thing about playing the first place schedule. Win a division, you play a first place schedule the next week. We play a tough, just division within the AFC North. Got the NFC South. We also have to play. This is an NFC South opponent. You got 3 really good teams in this division. You got the Saints, you got Tampa Bay, and I don't know about Atlanta, man. Kirk Cousins, he gonna have to get that Achilles look. I don't know. It didn't look good. Like it just didn't. He wouldn't even drop back. He was in a shotgun. His feet were just stationary. That just tells me that Achilles don't feel right. You know, it don't. You drafted Michael Penix. You drafted him in the first round. Now you're starting to see why they drafted him in the first round, right? Just in case this Kirk Cousins experiment just doesn't work. Kirk Cousins, don't get me wrong, he's a solid quarterback. He's been a solid quarterback for a long time in the NFL. But an Achilles injury at 35, 36 years old, man, that's a lot to overcome, especially playing a position where your feet are just as important as anything. Like, you have to get your feet in the right place in order to deliver passes, right? And he just didn't look comfortable doing that. So, again, Saints-Cowboys, always been kind of a rivalry, man, especially, you know, Drew Brees, back in those days, Drew Brees, Tony Romo matchups, Dez Bryant, I remember, had a big game against the Saints. This is going to be fun, man. This will be a lot of fun. So anyway, 1 o'clock tomorrow, AT&T. Cowboy Spit will be in attendance, but right after the game, we are going to go live. We are going to talk about this game, and hopefully we get to talk about a victory. All right? Everybody, this is great. See y'all tomorrow. Cowboys Saints, make sure y'all tune in. Watch this Cowboy victory. All right now. See y'all later. Peace.
Talking.